It sort of really resonated with me when we were having this discussion around partnerships in the sort of software space or the technology space, because in property and infrastructure, this is exactly how we do business, right? So, in property, particularly, with social infrastructure, public-private partnerships are an example of this, right? The government effectively says, I have this particular need. We build a consortium of partners who all want to deliver that need. We deliver a particular product, whether it be a convention center or a hospital or whatever else, and the government then rents it. That is exactly the sort of, I guess, an analogy of unscaled. And same in property, we find joint venture partners in capital or other development partners to come and
exactly
do things.
Creating your ecosystem, isn't it?
Absolutely. And at Lendlease, because we have several regions and we operate in very different cultural environments, that the nexus of those partnerships can actually scale, to use the term again, across boundaries, across international capital, international developers, right? So I think there was a very comfortable feeling with this idea that, of the unscaled idea in the technology space, right? Are partnerships harder in technology than they are in property, do you think?
No, I don't think, in general, I think partnerships are relationships. Let's start with relationship. To get a good partnership, you've got to have a relationship. The closer that relationship is, call it personally or professionally, the easier it is. When people know you and trust you and you've already done work with them, you're more likely to move that partnership ahead. And I think that trust probably plays as much in capital raising as it does in tech partnerships. So I think that's really what makes Silicon Valley work in many ways, is that everybody knows everybody. And the relationships, they aren't always great, by the way. There are people that never going to partner together. But the fact is, what you see in Silicon Valley is that people tend to come together pretty quickly because those relationships are very tight. And that's why Silicon Valley has not been easily duplicated anywhere else in the world, because I think people underestimate that having 50 or 100 or 500 startups isn't what makes the Silicon Valley. It's those relationships, the ability to come together to deal with the unscaling, to get your capital and your technology and your go-to-market aligned much more quicker than you could otherwise. I mean, you can't do that anyplace else. Arguably, you can do it a little more in Seattle these days, but once you leave Silicon Valley, Seattle, it dissipates quite a bit. There's, the rest of them become dwarves because they just don't have that sheer volume of relationship, technology, unscaling capability, and the trust, because I used to work there and I know this person, and I think people underestimate that. Now, I think that, again, there's a few additional areas, but everybody wants to have an innovation hub. Well, I think it's so much about getting the tech there, they forget.
Yeah.
But what really is all about is those relationships. And by the way, I think the other thing is, it's not just having tech. You got to have certainly technology relationships, but go to market, and you need capital relationships and mentoring relationships. And it's a lot of things coming together, not just, a bunch of startups in the